Hello again. I just wanted to help you out, parents, with some of the things we do in class that may or may not be familiar with you. Mrs. Murphy posted a few of these pictures to the Facebook page the other day, but I thought it might be helpful to actually work through the problem where you can see how it's happening so that you can see some of the ways the kids might do math that maybe you and I weren't taught in school, but we're teaching now. So I'm going to start with the addition problem just because it's a pretty basic spot to start. I'm going to put up this problem. It's not what she has up on Facebook, but maybe if you see me work through it, then you can look at hers for another example. These are the 4 ways that we show kids or give kids the option of doing math. A lot of kids still choose to do traditional, which is what we call the method that you and I were taught in school. But for those of you that have kids that maybe don't like that method as well, this might help you figure out what they're doing so you can talk to them about it. But just for good measure, I will start off with what we call the traditional method. If ever you see me, or hear me, I guess, on a model drawing video or anything mention the traditional method, I literally just mean the way we were taught, which for the case of addition is to stack up the numbers, line up your place values, and then just add. 7 and 4 is 11. We tell them that it's not carrying a 1 because this really doesn't represent 1. It represents a 10, kind of thing like those ones, tens, hundreds rods that we used to use as kids. I would move a 10 piece over there. So now this is 1 10, 4 tens, and 3 tens, which is 8 tens or 80. And then there's nothing to rename. So now I'm left with 200 plus 100, which is 300 for 381. The other 3 methods that are on that video that she had posted are mental math, I guess, but it's mental math on paper. It's things that you and I, having known numbers long enough, probably do in our head and don't even realize we're doing it. This is just on paper so that the kids can see that it's a method. Probably the most common choice after that is partial sums. A lot of kids can get to the point where they do this in their head, at least at our grade level. To do that, I'm not going to write the problem vertically anymore. I'm actually going to write it horizontally, and for the other 3 methods, they would do that too. But in this case, since I'm looking at partial parts here, I'm looking in their place value chunks. So I'm going to say that this is like saying, well, I have 200 and 100. And from here, I have a 40 and a 30 from here and here. And then I have 7 and 4, which would be 370 and 11. Now when you put all those up, as long as you keep everything lined up nicely, you'll get right back to your 381. Makes it so that they can kind of keep those pieces separated in their head, and then makes them 3 very simple math problems that combine nicely because everything's very light in each place value. Then another choice that we have is one called decomposing and composing, meaning basically break down the number and then put it back together again. This one is probably the least common choice, at least amongst my classes that I've had, but there are a handful of kids that are really good at this method, and it makes it so they can do even some pretty tricky problems in their head. They're similar to this one, which I think is why some kids get kind of confused. In this one, I pulled numbers apart, but I was forced into their place value worse. In this one, I can pull it apart however I want and put together whatever I need to make that a problem that I can quickly do in my head. As an adult, this is probably the one I use the most often, just, as I'm doing grocery shopping or whatever and have to keep numbers in my head, I kind of move them around and manipulate numbers to a way that's useful to me. So for this one, I'm going to say it would be really nice if this was actually 250 and I could add from 250 because that's a pretty basic place to start. And all I need to do that is to have 3 more. So I'm actually going to rob the 3 from this number, which leaves me with 131 that I didn't use. Putting this together, now I have that 250 that I wanted, plus 131 makes it fairly fast to add up to that 381. The other method that we teach them is compensation, which is basically, again, just adjusting numbers to fit my needs. This one probably has the most mathematical concept behind it. Like, you have to understand numbers pretty well to make this one work for you. But there are a few kids that really like this one too. I know in my class I had 2 or 3 kids that did almost all their problems like this so they could do them in their head. So for this one, I just want to adjust these numbers so that it still comes out the same, but I'm actually going to make a different problem. I'm not going to change the worth of the problem, just the way it looks. So for this one, like I had in the last problem, 250 would actually be a lot nicer. So I'm going to add on 3. I'm going to call this 250. And you can adjust this one the same way, different ways, whatever you want. The kids that would use this in my class really preferred to just get all of their adjustments done here and say, if I added 3 to this number, if I take 3 away from this one, then voila, I'm right back to where I wanted to be anyway. So 131 comes out to 381. You could break it down differently. Maybe I wanted to say, if I give this one 3 and take away 4 from this one, let me do that one just so you can kind of see it. 247 plus the 134 that I was starting with. Let's say I wanted to give this one 3 to make it 250, and I really don't like this not being a nice number like that, so I'm actually going to take away 4. That gives me the 130. Makes really nice math to 380. That's still not right because I added 3 here, but I took 4 away. It's not balanced anymore. I actually need to cancel that out. I'm -1 up here basically, so to get it back to no changes made, I have to give it that extra 1 back, which takes me back to 381. Okay, I hope that helps you see some of them. Like I said, if you go to the school's Facebook page, Mrs. Murphy has a picture up with another example, but hopefully having seen some worked out, it helps you look at them and you can figure them out. Have a great day.